This isn't a place for folks like you. You aren't well off.
Certainly, we haven't been blessed with good circumstances. Nevertheless, we siblings have supported each other to come this far. I was truly infuriated by the classmates who sneered at us.
There are no watches for poor people like you. A cheap one from a dollar store is enough for you. Just go home.
My little sister, with a determined look, stared back at the classmate who tried to shoo her away with a dismissive wave of his hand.
Is that so? Since we can't afford the watch, I'll cancel our reservation. Can you refund the deposit we've paid?
With that, she handed a bill for the watch to the classmate.
Huh? Is this?
My name is John Smith. My parents passed away in an accident recently, and I've been staying with relatives along with my elementary school sister, Emily.
It must have been tough. We can't provide much luxury, but you're welcome to stay with us until you graduate from high school.
I'm currently a senior in high school, and my sister, Emily, is in the 6th grade. Our relatives took us in, although temporarily when we were left in shock by the sudden loss of our parents. I should be grateful to our relatives. However, our relatives' family is so big, so my sister and I feel uncomfortable. I had to give up on going to college and started working part-time after graduating high school to save up for living expenses and a place for my sister and me. We did have some inheritance from our parents, but I wanted to reserve it for Emily's future, and more importantly, I had to contribute to the household expenses while staying with our relatives. So I dropped out of high school around the time the 2nd semester began.
John, are you coming home late again today?
Emily, holding her favorite stuffed animal, looked up at me with concern. Lately, Emily hasn't been her usual cheerful self. She's the youngest among our relatives, and I worry about her being bullied, so the sooner I save up money and find a place of our own to move out, the better. I'm sorry for making you feel lonely. We'll be leaving here soon to live together, just a little while longer. I patted Emily's head and continued cycling along the still brightening road. In the mornings, I work a newspaper delivery job. My boss here has been understanding of my situation and has been quite supportive.
John, you're planning to start working without going to college, right?
Yes, I've already dropped out of high school, so I'm waiting for my sister to graduate, and then we're considering moving. One day, after finishing the morning deliveries and returning to the office, my boss approached me.
The location might not be ideal, but I might be able to arrange a job for you. Would you like to hear more about it?
It turned out to be a factory owned by my boss's acquaintance, dealing with forestry-related work. The workplace was deep in the mountains, but they offered a nearby house as accommodation.
Being a graduate only a junior high, it can be inconvenient to find a place to rent, you know. They also seem to be struggling with a shortage of workers because their employees are getting older. You have the physical strength, and you pick up tasks quickly.
My boss was concerned about our situation and had reached out to a factory owned by his acquaintance that happened to be struggling with a labor shortage. Thank you so much. Both suggestions are a big help. In our rural hometown, where we grew up, it was pretty challenging for high school dropouts like us to find both employment and a place to live, so this offer was greatly appreciated. A few days later, I accompanied my boss to the remote mountain factory to introduce myself, and on the way back, he showed me the house at the foot of the mountain that we could rent. It was a modest single-story house, surprisingly well maintained inside. The bathroom and toilet were clean. The house is a bit cramped, but it's enough for the two of us.
I renovated the old mountain cabin for my daughter. She got a job in New York this spring, so it's vacant now, said the factory manager.
The factory manager was a kind and easygoing person. Due to the moving and my sister's school arrangements, we plan to start working and move in as scheduled in May. However, during long breaks, I would stay in this house and work as a part-timer at the factory. With both our new home and job secured, I went to inform and thank my high school teacher, who had been worried about me dropping out to work. It might be challenging, but I hope you and your sister are doing well. Then, she gave me an expensive-looking pen as a parting gift, wrapped in a beautiful box. Thank you very much. It was a short time, but I appreciate everything you've done. I sincerely expressed my gratitude to my teacher and left the teacher's office. I ran into someone unpleasant unexpectedly. It was Kevin Johnson. He is the son of a local landlord. He was the typical spoiled, wealthy kid, always acting like he was better than everyone else.
Oh, you are the poor John. I heard you dropped out of school.
He sneered with a smirk as he approached me.
You dropped out of school to work, right? It must be tough for poor folks like you.
I know you are still living on your parents. This guy was always like this. Being the son of a local landowner, he was exceptionally wealthy among our classmates, and he always needed to assert dominance over someone, constantly belittling others. Of course, I was not exempt from his mockery. In this rural area, the student body remained relatively unchanged from elementary to high school. Therefore, with most of our classmates enduring his domineering behavior for 12 years, I was relieved to be free from his torment. During field trips, he would flaunt his luxurious clothes, shoes, and belongings with high-end brands, scrutinizing and mocking each person's belongings.
Oh, your cloth is so low-end. Which brand is it? Poor thing. Why do commoner clothes have such misery? Can't afford better clothes, huh?
When he said things like this, I couldn't help but hang my head in silence, unable to respond. Our long-awaited field trip would be spoiled. His habit of asserting dominance wasn't limited to field trips. It happened during school events and even in our daily school life.
I'm superior in every way, and you guys are just bottom feeders.
That was his constant mantra. When he sensed I might respond, he'd taunt me, "Hey, a poor guy like you shouldn't talk back to me. Poverty is contagious, you know." But today, he went further, saying, "I'm different from you, you know. After graduation, I'm buying a luxury condo in the city and heading to a renowned university." Despite thinking about what's so special about attending a well-known private university across the country, meeting him today would be the last time. "I see. That's impressive," was all I replied with before quickly leaving the scene. Then, the new year arrived, and in May, my sister graduated from elementary school and would become a middle school student in August. I appreciate your hospitality. From now on, my sister and I will make our own way in life. With that declaration, we left our relative's house and moved to our new home. Our belongings were surprisingly few. During the winter, I obtained a driver's license and purchased a used car for commuting. I worked diligently at the remote mountain factory every day. As a congratulatory gift for my sister's enrollment, I bought her a bicycle, and although our commutes to school and work were time-consuming, we managed to get by. I'm sorry, I know it's inconvenient with the school being so far away.
Nat, John, thank you for your hard work every day. I appreciate it.
Fortunately, the factory's operating hours allowed us to finish before outside got dark due to its remote location. Although the mornings were early, we could still go shopping after work, prepare meals, and have dinner together every day. We made sure to share dinner and have some conversation. While there were many challenges, we managed to live relatively happily.
Hey, John, there's something I want to ask.
Emily, with a serious expression, brought up the topic when she was about to enter high school.
I want to go to college.
She handed me a pamphlet, which turned out to be from a national university.
I want to study marketing. I absolutely want to make life easier for you in the future, and I think I have potential with my current academic abilities.
I see. Emily, do as you wish. I couldn't go to college, but I've been thinking that if you wanted to, I would support you. Yes, I had been working part-time and saving money even before dropping out of school in preparation for this moment. We were able to rent this house at a low cost through the factory manager's connections, and we weren't indulging in any significant luxuries. So, I had enough savings to send Emily to an ordinary private university. When I told Emily, she said, "Thank you, I'll definitely repay you," and worked even harder in her studies. Emily was originally quite talented, and she consistently ranked at the top of her class for all 3 years of high school. She also achieved her goal of being accepted into the national university she aspired to.
Okay, I'm off. I'll be back during summer vacation, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, so don't look so sad. I'll work hard and come back.
With those words, carrying only a few belongings, Emily boarded the train. This house, where we had supported each other for 6 years, shouldn't have felt particularly spacious, but it suddenly seemed much larger. Both Emily and I were determined to do our best in our respective endeavors, and I returned to my daily work routine. Even though it was a national university, living alone would surely be costly, so I sent her a monthly allowance. Over the course of 4 years, I eagerly looked forward to Emily's return during the long breaks, where she would share stories of her college life.
Hey, John, I'm doing just fine now. Thanks to you, I've secured a great job.
As spring approached, marking nearly 5 years since summer had left, I received a cheerful phone call with this wonderful news. She had landed a job at a renowned marketing company. "Oh, that's incredible. You've really worked hard." I couldn't hold back the tears as I heard the news over the phone. Since we had left our relative's house together, I think we faced numerous hardships along the way. It wasn't an easy journey by any means, and there were many times we had to endure difficulties. "I want to go to college." Those were the first words Emily had ever asked of me.
What are you talking about? I've come this far thanks to you.
Emily exclaimed, and we praised each other. 6 months after Emily started her job, I received a letter along with an airplane ticket from her.
To my big brother, it's my turn to repay you this time.
The date on the ticket happened to be on my birthday. "Hello, Emily," I hastily called her.
Oh, big brother, did you receive the ticket? Come visit me. I'll be waiting.
Over the phone, Emily laughed mischievously. On the scheduled day, I took half a day off to match the airplane's arrival time. Although I was a bit late, I was heading to the meeting in my commuter sweatshirt and sweatpants. Sorry for doing this on your birthday. You're going to see Emily, right? Take your time. The manager gave me a 2-day off for tomorrow and the day after. I barely made it onto the airplane in time. It'll take about 2 hours to reach the place where Emily is waiting. I wonder if it's okay to meet her for the first time in a while dressed like this. Despite my farts, I drifted off to sleep for a brief moment.
Hey John, long time no see.
As soon as I arrived at the station, Emily rushed towards me. It had been about half a year since we last met, but I felt so nostalgic and reassuring.
It must have been a long journey. Thank you. So, do you have any plans for today? Follow me.
She took my hand and led me to her car. It felt fresh to ride in a car driven by Emily. While chatting about trivial matters, we arrived at a high-end watch store.
We're here.
She encouraged me to get out of the car.
I've been taken care of by you all this time, so I wanted to give you a lifetime watch as a gift.
Oh no, no, no. I'm dressed like this. And besides, something this expensive. I was pushed into the store forcibly, and I was left in disbelief when I saw someone familiar.
Welcome. Wait, what? It's you, Smith.
It was a local classmate, Kevin Johnson.
What's with that outfit? This isn't the kind of store for poor folks like you.
He gave us an annoyed look and made a shooing gesture. Emily immediately stepped forward. I came to buy a birthday present for my brother. Is that not allowed?
Wow, you're really begging your sister for a watch. You're utterly hopeless.
Johnson scoffed. He then looked at me and continued, "How did a poor girl like you manage to buy a watch here? Did you sleep with an old man or do some sugar daddy gig to afford it for your beloved big brother?" Emily maintained a calm expression. "Hey, what do you know about my sister?"
John is overprotective of the sister. And even the sister is the same. Willing to do sugar daddy gigs for John, huh? That's so gross. And you think a high school dropout and a poor guy like you can wear watches from this place? It's like casting pearls before swine.
With these words, Kevin opened the door.
Bottom feeders should just stick with a dollar shop crap watches. Go home already.
With an exaggerated bow, he tried to shoo us out. Emily took a deep breath and spoke calmly.
Understood. It seems this store doesn't have any watches that we can afford. Is that correct?
Quietly, as if confirming, Emily asked,
That's what I'm saying. So go home already.
Johnson replied, sounding annoyed. Then Emily handed Kevin an envelope from her bag and smiled.
In that case, I will cancel the watch I had reserved and request a refund for the advance payment I made.
Kevin glanced at the envelope with an expression that seemed to say, "What is this?" and reluctantly checked its contents. His face turned ashen in an instant. Inside that envelope was a receipt for the reservation deposit of $200,000 for a limited edition watch that Emily had reserved. She had prepared and customized this high-end watch, thinking it would suit me. And she had already paid $150,000 as the reservation deposit. Upon hearing the commotion, the store manager came out.
What's all this commotion about? Miss Emily, we've been waiting for you. Your reserved watch is ready. Please come this way.
The store manager, upon seeing Emily, greeted her respectfully and tried to guide her to a meeting room in the back. However, Emily shook her head and said, "I'm sorry, but can we cancel the reservation? It seems that this store doesn't carry watches that are within our budget. We'll go ahead and purchase a watch that suits our." She glanced briefly at Kevin as she spoke. Kevin's face turned pale, and he trembled.
Kevin, what's going on here?
The store manager, who had been trying to assist us moments ago with a gentle expression, now wore an angry expression that made him unrecognizable. However, he quickly redirected his attention towards us. "Our staff at this store has been insulting. This is regarding the refund of the reservation deposit. Given the substantial amount, we will follow up with an apology and process the refund later." The manager bowed deeply. He seemed to be assessing Emily's mood.
Don't worry. This incident isn't the store's fault. It's his mistake over there. I won't write about it because I didn't come here for that today.
The store manager, understandably, tried to gauge Emily's reaction. Understandably so, as Emily was famous in SNS, and one of her articles could significantly impact a store's reputation. When Emily began her university studies, I had purchased her a high-quality computer as a gift, thinking it would be useful for her classes and future work. As part of her marketing studies, she had started a review blog as Emmy. Her SNS provided honest and precise product recommendations, even if it meant giving a negative review, along with analytical insights and suggestions for improvement, which had proven to be quite influential. Nowadays, it's become a media read by over 1 million people each month, and it seems their advertising revenue sometimes exceeds $100,000. With this strength, Emily has landed a job at a major marketing company and is fully utilizing her skills.
I'm sorry, John, for bringing you here like this.
As they walked side by side, Emily appeared downcast. "It's not your fault, Emily, thanks." During a brief silence, they strolled through the city aimlessly. Soon, they stumbled upon an old shop. The building itself was aged but well-maintained, giving off the vibe of a traditional, time-honored establishment. "Hey, Emily, how about going in there?"
Oh, sure, but what kind of shop is it?
Without knowing for sure, they approached the place, and it turned out to be a watch shop.
Wow, it's so beautiful.
In the back, an elderly man was working, and the watches displayed in the store were all finely crafted.
Welcome to our clock store. All the clocks here are made by our master.
And gentle-looking elderly lady as she approached us. "Oh, those ones in the back. They're all so intricate and amazing." Emily, who had become completely engrossed in the clocks displayed in the store. I persuaded the elderly lady to let us watch the elderly man's work up close. I was impressed by how he worked quickly yet meticulously. Apparently, he had been making clocks here for over 40 years.
Hey, John, this one looks like it would suit you.
Emily pointed to a particular clock. The elderly lady smiled proudly.
Oh, you have good eyes. That's the masterpiece our master created among all these clocks.
All of them are like his own children. Those are the only things I make.
The elderly man, working diligently in the back, muttered softly. When he briefly looked up, his eyes were filled with confidence. I purchased the clock and immediately wore it on my wrist. It felt like a perfect fit. After thanking the elderly couple, we left the store.
In the end, it turned out to be a great purchase, right? We got their permission, and when we get back, I'll have to write a blog post.
Emily's expression had brightened, contrasting with how she looked earlier. Over the years, that clock from that day continued to tick on my wrist. We had become close to the elderly couple, visiting their clock shop regularly for maintenance. Stuart, I'll need another maintenance session soon.
Oh, Mr. John, I'm truly delighted that you're taking such good care of it.
I'll take a look at it right away. So please take your time.
Now, during the maintenance sessions, we would even sit down and have tea with the elderly couple.
By the way, could you please thank Emily for us? Thanks to her, we've had more customers coming in lately.
The elderly lady beamed as she spoke. Afterward, Emily introduced the Stuart Clock Shop on her SNS, and it became a massive hit. Now, it's a popular shop with a year-long waiting list.
Recently, it's been so busy that it's almost overwhelming. A happy dilemma.
The old man said, his face showing a faint smile. As they chatted, more customers continued to visit the shop, making reservations.
Here you go.
As he handed back my clock to me after the maintenance, it seemed to shine even more brilliantly than before. Thank you very much for taking priority, even though you're so busy. After thanking the elderly couple and leaving the shop, we noticed that the high-end watch store where we had encountered Kevin earlier was no longer there. After that incident, the shop manager and Kevin went to visit Emily with a gift of sweets. Emily didn't seem to mind the expensive watch anymore, but she declared that she would never forgive Kevin for his attitude towards me. As a result of that incident, Kevin lost his job at the watch store and faced substantial compensation claims for damaging their relationship with Emily, a valuable customer, and causing the $200,000 deal to fall through. He hasn't returned to our hometown, and his whereabouts are unknown. Rumor has it that he sought help from his parents regarding the compensation, and, upon learning the circumstances, his parents were furious and disowned him. Before they knew it, both Emily and I got married, and I moved to New York City. The reason being, I am currently working as an apprentice at the Stuart Clock Shop, dedicating myself to the craft of clockmaking. After repeatedly going for maintenance, they asked me if you wanted to take over the business. At first, I declined, considering my obligations to the original factory. However, I couldn't resist the enthusiasm of the old lady. Most importantly, the opportunity to learn the skills from the elderly man was a big attraction for me. The factory manager also graciously supported me, and that brings us to today. Emily's family lives nearby, and we enjoy lively and warm days together. Although my student days were tough, the warm family I longed for is right here now.
John, I've brought some snacks.
Emily came to the workshop with her niece Natalie. I feel joy in savoring these happy moments. I wish for nothing more than these peaceful times to continue forever, and I'm determined to live today to the fullest.